Grand evening. Just a quick one. Okay, I was very clear. The reason why I was doing a quick one is because I had an inspiration. Okay, True Brit news. And just to say, this is about 2 days after I've just since my last post. Okay, so it's a bit of a continuation of that one, actually. Right, so the True Brit news arc. Why something needs to be done wrong and stupid? Anyway, the insight that I've just gotten was this, and it's connected to one. Kemi Badenoch, I've got to check some of this stuff actually, but I've heard that Kemi Badenoch is saying she's no longer Nigerian, right? She's British. Okay. Earlier on today, not that long ago actually, Trump gave a press conference, quite a long one actually, in which he is deploying, I think it's the National Guard or whatever it is, and the army onto the streets of Washington DC because they are no longer safe. Okay? He hasn't said it's got anything to do with the immigrants that are in those cities, but they talk about gangs and stuff like that. Women aren't safe to walk down the street, blah blah blah. It's an unsafe place. Even politicians are getting mugged, having their phones stolen. Now it's interesting. I watched it. I watched the Trump speech from GB News. I know, but I have to give it a look just to see what propaganda they're pushing. Now, one of the things that the commentator did say, right? So anyway, right, I'll come to the insight in a minute. So I'm just outlining some of the things that have given rise to it. Okay, so Kemi Badenoch is what Trump's just said. As I say in the previous videos, I've been talking about the discussions, the debates, the kind of that's going on in America between, I'm going to say, different categories of people. People that classify themselves as African American, Black American, Mexican, Latino, immigrant, and the whole immigration thing and the deportations, right? And the executive orders around them. So the executive orders, then the deportations have taken place. Now, what's starting to happen is regarding the deportations, they seem to be going through different ethnic groups, as it were. Or another way of putting it, the way that I'm choosing to put it, is I was going to say the lighter skinned people, but I suppose it is the lighter skinned people that have, so your Asians, no, it was your Mexicans and Hispanics actually first, then it was your Latinos, those that consider them Latin American, coming from Latin American countries, and then there are those that consider themselves or that are considered Latinos, Mexicans, Latinos, I said that already, and the Asians. And the Asians are the sort of Korean, Japanese, Chinese, and now what's coming to the mix is something. Across the road, actually. There we go. I think I'm safe to go now. Right. So the other thing that's happened is that the Cherokee Nation, this is in America, the Cherokee Nation has accepted, and this is quite big actually, because they've accepted that I think it's the notion of that there are Black Americans or African Americans are native. Okay, right. So and they're accepted into the nation as natives and as indigenous. So, which is, it's not only raised a lot, it's created a great deal of controversy. There's lots of quietness on the other hand, but it's also raised a lot of questions about, well, if African Americans are actually indigenous and Aboriginal to the land, how comes it's now you're just saying something? I'm just going to use that just one point actually. We're going to draw from that. Is that why is it now you're saying something, and why are you saying something now? Where were they? This is the question that we're asking. Where were you during, say, the civil rights movement? Where were you? What? Why didn't you come out in support if you knew that basically the original Cherokee would be what you're calling so-called Black Americans or African Americans, and considering that their lineage, if you like, they only can go back to their origins being around the 1860s, 1870s, when the so-called African Americans bloodlines and written stuff, their land rights, if you like, go back way further than that. They were there at the time of Columbus. And also the bloodline of these Native Americans is quite clear. They're considered to be. Sorry, I've got no change at all. No problem. No, honestly, I haven't got no change. Got no
No problem.
It's okay, no problem. I really haven't got any change, and I am making a video, as you can see. It's very interesting. English was not her first language, clearly, as you probably will hear if you read what on the tape. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, don't get me off topic. So, and it's not by accident that she's here, struggling to obviously have enough resources, a pound. Nobody should be begging for anything or needing to ask somebody for a pound unless you forgot your wallet. So, you needed a pound to catch the bus or whatever it is. because you forgot your wallet. And it's a sad indictment also. It tells you a lot about the fact that none of us are carrying cash. So even if I had it, if I had it, I would have given it to her actually. But it's also a sad indictment of the society that we have, that where these kinds of things are happening everywhere, every day and night. So I was hoping that was going to bring me back on track. So I'm talking about Trump talked about Kemi, talked about the nationalisation thingy-majig. Oh, the Cherokee Indians and what that the Cherokee tribe actually. Because basically what they're admitting is that they're not the original Cherokee tribe, and it's coming out about what the story of the history of them coming from Siberia, because basically they are Siberian. That's the region that they hailed from. Their blood group proves it. It's well known. It's been well known for quite some time actually. It's like when we talk about Arabs. They're not. They're not the original, the indigenous or aboriginal people to the land that we tend to see and find Arabs in. They are of the same stock actually as the Siberians. Was it Mongolian? It's come from over there. Siberian Mongolians or Mongolian Siberians. Same group of people that we're calling Arabs. Actually, in some respects, with the admixture of European blood, you do consider to be Euro-Asians or the Arabs mixing bloodlines, creating bloodlines, and this has been going on for quite some time, for centuries, but not that many centuries. And the same can be said for the so-called Indian that we have here in the UK that claim to be from Southeast Asia. They too are descendants from that Siberian Mongolian bloodline, and they too have, if you like, usurped the identity of the land that they herald from, if that makes sense. So the original Indians weren't actually called Indians. They were in a land that was the old continent, if you like, or the landmass was called Hindustan. It was an empire. The nations of India and Pakistan, Kashmir, etc. Came out of the Raj era, which is again late 17 and 1800s, or during that period, 17 and 1800s. So what we're seeing, linking all this together, is that everybody wants to be the people that are allegedly eligible for reparations for slavery, for the transatlantic slave trade. That group of people that fit into that category are the ones, not the only ones, but they're the ones most under that's the group that every other nation, it seems, wants to assume their identity, their lands and their birthright. I think that was quite nicely done. And what we're seeing played out is, you're seeing that played out by the fact that people such as Kemi Badenoch has renounced her Nigerian heritage. What the fuck for? You know, you saying that in Nigeria is the bum bullet, you know what I mean? Well, anyway, forget about that, right? Meanwhile, there are people that are the descendants of the Windrush transportations and the people of the Windrush transportations themselves that are still around, and there are still quite a few who remember. What was I going to say? Yeah, wanting to be African, spending money in Nigeria, buying land in Nigeria, but the Nigerians want to come here. It doesn't quite make sense, does it? Same for the Ghanaians, same for lots of different Kenyans. They're coming here and we want to go there. They've convinced us that we should be there, but we are African, and we're quite clearly not, because when the Kenyans, the Somalians, the Kenyans, the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, and the other countries, Liberians, whatever it is, you know, South Africans, when we meet, you treat us as though you don't know us and that you are not us. You treat the Caucasian, I'm talking about, well, all of the groups, you all emulate to be and aspire to a white standard. And when that white standard starts to fall apart, not as much as the white standard is falling apart, before the white standard falls apart, or as the white standard starts to fall apart, commonly known as white supremacy as an example, when that starts to lose its gloss and people are not benefiting from that as much as they have done, and also when white supremacy shows to these black and brown skinned people that weren't part of the transatlantic slave trade or weren't considered part of the transatlantic slave trade and haven't got the reparations for this atrocious crime that should have taken place. There's been no attempts to sort it out. That there's been no acknowledgement by any other group on the planet to that narrative, true or false. And it seems as though it's been an excuse to persecute and to just give us a really hard fucking time, really. You know what I mean? And now that shit's getting tight for everybody. Everybody else wants us to chip in and, you know what I mean, and help you to retain your position. You being, you know, to continue to help, say, these migrant communities that are coming into the UK, the Pakistanis, the Koreans, the people that are running the universities, the people that are running the HMRC, you know, the people that are running all your corner shops, your car washers, to allow them, you know, as they are, in my heart, I believe, that because in the same way the military's on the street, Trump's the head of all corporations on the planet, including the UK. That's why Keir Starmer's his bitch boy. He's having to do as he's told. He doesn't want to, but like, he's showing you what will happen when you don't. The military has to come out to restore law and order, because law and order has gone from these streets and at the hands of the people that have supported the system and that have gained benefit from things like immigration, legal and otherwise, you know, illegal. There's been a replacement process, and the people that have travelled from lands, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them, they know exactly what they were doing, you know, just in the same way in America. You know, they, you know, some of the countries that are in America have emptied their prisons, like in Venezuela or Honduras, as an example. Apparently they've emptied their jails and sent them all to America to under the Biden regime. You know, we watch nightly you know, boatfuls, and you know, we're watching the boats coming in, but nobody's fucking watching the airports, are you? When the boat comes in, you know, there's other routes not necessarily thought about, not necessarily considered. Apart from aeroplanes, they're the obvious ones. There's planes, trains, and automobiles. You know, so the true numbers are, you know, never be known, because you know, and on top of that, you know, people are benefiting from it, because when we get given the opportunity, when the country gets given the opportunities, given examples of how to do it, we don't do it, and we come up with all kinds of bullshit excuses. It's just an opportunity to continue moaning about stuff that actually you don't need to be moaning about. Till the next time, may your ERP and your spirituality remain strong. I'm gone.